All right, where you want me to start?
Just where you were.
Well, what I'm saying is the only way I feel that you can that we can affect any viable change other than bloodshed is to boycott. There's only one way. We have to boycott with our money economically. It's only going to take an economic boycott where we are not spending our money. We're not giving them any of our money. We just got to stop spending our money on things that don't represent us, that don't represent our community, that don't help the climate, that doesn't benefit us as a people, as a human being. We need to stop spending our money on a lot of the stuff that we spend our money. I give you an example. The banks now, they want to charge you just for having a debit card. Okay, so now not only are you getting charged for for using your debit card, you're getting charged for just having one. That adds insult to injury, being the fact that they charge you just for putting your money in the bank, and then they charge you for taking your own money out. So this is the highest form of usury that I can think of. But the only way to change that, the only way to get them to listen to you is to take all your money out the bank, because I guarantee you they will listen, because the banks will crash if people will start taking their money out the banks. And that's the only way that I can see we making enough noise to make them want to listen. Other than that, what they're going to do is they're going to sit in their penthouse, they're going to stand on the penthouse roof, right? They're going to have the champagne in one hand, and they're going to be pissing on our heads with the other one. That's what they're going to do, because they don't really give up. They really don't give a fuck about what's going on here, because their money is not stopping. Their money is not stopping. The only way to make them pay attention is to stop their money. And I think that's all I'm going to say about this. Right?
People call for Israeli boycotts, and what they do is they make laws making it illegal to boycott.
Well, but you see, this is what's going on. This is what's going on with a lot of like union jobs where people want to walk out and people don't, because they feel like they are being treated unfairly. They make these laws saying, oh, you can't go on strike. And that's to stop you from protesting. They say, oh, well, you got to vote. You got to vote with your unions and everything like that. But, as you can see, the bargaining is getting harder and harder. We're not getting what we want.
In China, they make you sign a pledge that you won't commit suicide.
Right. Which is next. Which is next.
Well, don't you think that the day might come where we all go to our banks and the bank's just like, sorry?
Well,
that happened in the Soviet Union.
Well, I believe it can happen. I doubt it. I doubt that will happen here. Being that the whole thought of us having like we have this money, right? That's backed by something that's gonna run out. It's really a joke, because it's all imaginary. The numbers are imaginary. They can print up the money anytime they want. They can play with the prices. They can play with inflation. They can play with the stock. It's really a joke. It's all smoke and mirrors. So say, hey, one day we're gonna say, oh, we don't have any money. I don't think that's what's really gonna happen, because they can really print their money and they can say it's worth whatever, and they can sell it. They can give you the money and then sell it. So I don't think that will ever happen. The only way that I can see people being worried about it and saying that it might happen is because now that this is such a global economy, people feel like, oh, well, these other countries, we're not going to be able to get this, we're not going to be able to get that. The money, and investments and everything's going to go down. People are going to take their businesses to other places. I'm going to tell you this. Nobody's taking their business anywhere. Everybody wants to do business with America, all right? Everybody wants to do business with America. Nobody's taking all this bullshit that they say, oh, we're going to take up. No, we are the media center of the world. We are the cultural center of the world. We have everything here. Everybody wants to be here. There's no way they're going to take their businesses anywhere else. But they will instill that fear in you so that you will be inactive. But before I stop, there's one thing I wanted to go back to what we was talking about Congress and the different parties, Republican and democracy. What I really want people to know too is that that's also a myth. There's no Democratic Party. There's no Republican Party. They're all the same party. But what they do is they have people that pretend to advocate for you so that you don't have to advocate for yourself. And that's the whole deal. They don't want you advocating for yourself. So what they do is they hire these people, these soothsayers, right, to make you feel like everything's all right, while they make their own little backdoor deals and everything is business as usual. So what people need to really understand is that the idea that you can vote for change, unless it's on a policy or a legislative level, on a local legislative level, it's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to vote for change because their agenda will be carried out no matter if you vote for a Democrat or Republican. They're all part of the same gang because they all get paid by the same people. You know, they all get paid by the same people. I mean, one of the tall-tailing signs, and again, like I said, I'm not against Obama. I feel like he's going up against just himself. You know, I think people are placing their anger in the wrong place. They got to understand it's not just Obama, it's Congress as a whole. It's the government as a whole in the sense of how they're conducting business. But you gotta understand, people should have knew something was amiss when most of his economic counsel were people that came from these banks that needed bailouts. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, wait a minute. It's like you trying to get drugs off your block, right? And the person you hire to do that is, I say, like back in the 80s and 90s, like is Noriega. Say, hey Noriega, we need your help to stop drugs, to stop the flow of drug traffic. Can you help us stop the drug? It's like, you know, it's like, yeah, okay, we'll help you. Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? We just gonna be better at hiding it from everybody else. And so I think that's what people need to understand. We cannot. I think the days of us voting for change are over. That's not gonna happen. We need to get Congress out of there. We need to get the bums out of there. And the only way we're going to do that is applying pressure on the people who pay them. That's the only way. And in order to do that, we have to boycott economically. Stop buying their stuff. Stop falling into this fashion, this cultural thing where, you know, this feeling that you are special because you got a new shirt with a name brand. You know, so you feel like you're better than this person, or you know, because you got you know, a certain kind of.
That's perpetrated, man.
Yeah. Well,
you know, they got rid of Public Enemy in Paris and X-Clan.
Right.
And changed it to people just promoting your chain and your rims and how cool you look.
Right. Well, you know, you know what's so funny? This is the thing about hip hop. This is the funny thing about hip hop is if you just study the timeline of hip hop from when it started to now, you can actually trace the demise of society as a culture in a microcosmic way. Because as you've seen in the beginning of hip hop, it was a thing where people got together to escape the violence within the neighborhoods, right? Late 70s, early 80s, it was about, look, we just want to have a good time, you know, we want to escape the violence from the communities. But the violence wasn't stopping. So what they began to do is to preach against. They made songs against the violence. You know, a lot of these, in fact, the whole cultures in a sense that with the break dancing, the hip hop dancing, the graffiti, all of that was competition with each other in order to stop the gang, the gang on gang violence. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. People started to become very, very aware of themselves within the community when hip-hop was taking that direction. You know, you had the X-Clans, you had the Public Enemies, you had the De La Souls, you had the KRS Ones when he changed it up a little bit and he became the philosopher. You had all these people coming up. You had all these artists coming up and they had this positive message, you know, this self-empowerment. Next thing you know, crack hit.
That was just a coincidence.
No coincidence. That was purposely done because they flooded specific neighborhoods. Crack hit. All of a sudden the music started to change, right? No more it was me, myself, and I, and just fight the power. All of a sudden it became Road to the Riches. You know, it became and don't get me wrong, I like a lot of these artists. You know, I'm not saying they just victims they just grew up within the climate that was presented to them. You know, where the mindset all of a sudden became, oh man, I gotta get rich. You know, so I'm gonna destroy my community. Who cares what happens to the community? I'm gonna sell drugs to this person. we're gonna rob. We're gonna do whatever it takes to get rich. And from then on, we just spiraled out of control. It went from gangster. Now the gangsters became rich, right? Now we have a new hip-hop culture. We have now, the bling bling era that people say, that people have coined. The bling bling era. That's now you have, the rappers They flying to France and Paris, and you know all the gangster rappers are flying to France and Paris, right? Eating French bread, you know, staying at penthouse suites. You know, now it's the Scarface lifestyle now that they all living. Now everybody's seeing that, and this is what we all want. You know, we want to live this opulent life. I remember something Fidel Castro did. I'm going to paraphrase it, but he had a press conference one time with the hijackers, with the guys that hijacked the plane. And he held a press conference, and he's asking the hijackers, you know, hey, why did you, Roji, what up, Reggie? That's it, Dred.
I was gonna see you out here, man. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. So
preach the word right here. Preach the truth.
So what happened is this. You had what was it?
Castro.
Castro. So he asked the hijackers, why did you hijack? You know, why did you hijack the plane? And at first they were saying, oh, because we wanted freedom of speech, we wanted rights. We didn't feel like, you know, we was being treated correctly, you know, all this stuff, right? So then Castro starts laughing, right? So Castro starts laughing, and everybody in the room is like, oh man, you know, Castro, why are you laughing? What's so funny? So he goes, okay, enough of this. Now, will you tell the people why you really hijacked the plane, right? So the guy stutters, he's like nervous. He says, listen, nothing's gonna happen to you. Just be honest. Tell the truth why you hijacked the plane. So one of the guys steps up and he says, well, I wanted a big house and fancy cars.
And I wonder where that money was coming from.
Yeah, but you know, but what I'm saying is, you see the sickness?
Yeah.
You see the sickness that the allure of having a house, a big house and a fancy car will cause a man to hijack a plane full of passengers? It's insanity. But this is what's being passed on.
Insanity is the word.
Right. So, but this is what's fed to us.
You know, motherfuckers are hanging from ropes in their Malibu mansions overlooking the ocean.
Right.
It's empty.
Right. Well, we don't know that though, because you see, I never had it. So you can't tell me that it's empty, because all I know is what I see on TV is this great fulfilled life. I'm like, shit, you know, I want to live by the lakeside. I want to live by the oceanfront. I want the oceanfront property. You know, I want the hottest model broad. And you know, so the propaganda is so funny. Because the propaganda on TV, right, what they'll show you is, they'll show you an ordinary guy like me or you, right? With a hot chick on his side. You're like, man, how you get that? You know what I'm saying? How you get this hot chick? You know? So it has us thinking, hey, you know, I can have that hot chick. But you know what I got to do is I got to have a certain kind of money. I got to live a certain kind of lifestyle. So this is what we go on. Because in our minds, we're like, I'll never be able to have a hot chick just by being myself. See what I'm saying? And that's the bullshit. Because you can't have a hot chick by being yourself. Because 9 times out of 10, that hot chick doesn't even know she's that hot. And the only reason why she knows she's hot is because the TV told her that she's hot. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only reason why she thinks she's hot.
And what happens to the chick when the money runs out?
And when she runs out, she leaves. And then what do you have? You have divorce papers. You have your hand full of cream.
Yeah, and you got a lot of money you got to pay the bitch just for leaving.